Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
I'm bringing you issue 25 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol today. This issue came with 2 shade paints, Null Oil and Carabao Crimson, as well as a medium shade brush with which to apply them to our models. And in today's game we'll be learning the Tyranid faction rules for Synapse and Shadows in the War. So looking for the issue, first up we have our painting guide telling us about the technique of shading. So this is a very simple technique that adds a lot of detail to models by applying a shade which darkens the recesses, sort of brings out all the depth of colour. You'll load up the shade brush, and you don't want to overload it too much because shades are at risk of pooling. Try to apply it evenly across the model, although if it is pooling too much in the recesses, just wash the brush and use the tip of it to soak up any excess and move the shade around so it is all applied neatly. And see, there's a couple of techniques to apply it, so you can apply it all over to stain the whole of an area of the model, which you can see there on that termagant. They're applying the shade to the flesh to tint the entire model. Or we have recess shading, where you just apply the shade to the recesses, which you can see on those Marines, which takes a little bit longer, but gives some nice effects. And it might be a little bit quicker than applying the shade all over and then having to reapply the original colour to bring back the original shade. So first up, we're applying the shades to the Space Marines. So we're applying known oil. This is going over any of the leather parts. Also recess shading the blue armour. You can tidy up with Macragge blue. And then shading all over the silver parts or the mechanical parts to make it look grimy and oily. As well as things like the librarian's book he's carrying around his belt. Also any purity seal wax, the chaplain's book chained to his bike, and the crux terminatus on the terminators. And then for the Tyranids, you're applying known oil to any of the red parts of the barbed guns, and any of the carapaces, as well as the carapace of the dead Screamer Killer on the captain's base. Then we're applying Carabao Crimson to any tongues, and also the flesh as well. We apply it all over and just make sure it's not all pooling as well. And also applying it to the tendrils of the Von Ryan's Leapers, the tentacles on the Psychophage and so forth, parts of the Termagant's guns, and the wings on the Tyranid Prime and the Parasite Mortrex. And there's a few little bits for the Eldar Farseer. You want known oil around the helmet, do a recess shade around all the lines, also known oil for the little pouch around his belt, and then Carabao Crimson for his robes, and similar for the Guardians as well. So you can compare your results to the pictures here. You can see it's brought out a lot of depth in the models. The same for the Tyranids. And then we have some background on one of the Eldari craft worlds. These are the same hand. This is the colour scheme the magazine uses for their Eldari. One of the first craft worlds to separate from the Empire, and they stake a great deal of pride in their traditions and honour. So one of their many customs is to have the younger Eldari race against their elders to earn the right to ride a jet bike. And so they favour high-speed assaults, and they like to settle matters quickly through ritual duelling, which does give them a reputation for impetuousness and rashness amongst the other Eldari. So again, it goes over parts of their culture and traditions and the Wild Rider clans that they're divided amongst that ride jet bikes. And then some background on the Eldari pantheon. At the height of the Eldari Empire, there was a great number of gods. So you have Asurion, the Phoenix King, who was the ruler of the gods and the oldest. His brother Cain, the god of war. Others like the goddess Isha, the goddess of life and the harvest. And Kurnos, the god of the hunt. However, after the rise of Slanesh, most of the Eldar pantheon was destroyed, leaving only 2 to survive. Cain, the bloody-handed god, who fought against Slanesh, and Chegarak, the laughing god. However, in recent times, a new god has risen. Iniad, the god of the dead, has been created to aid the Eldari. And here you can see the Phoenix Lords, who are ancient warriors, each dedicated themselves to an aspect of Cain. And you can see there the avatar of Cain. Every craft world can call upon their avatar of Cain to take to the field and fight. But there's also the Incarn, who is effectively the avatar of Iniad, the god of the dead. Now I can hand you over to Will, and he'll take us through the Tyranid faction abilities.
So in this issue we learn the Tyranids faction abilities, and there are 2 of them. The first one is called Synapse, and this means while a Tyranids unit from your army is within 6 inches of one of more friendly units that have the Synapse keyword, that Tyranid unit is said to be within Synapse range of those models, and when any such unit has to take a battle shock test, it rolls 3d6 instead of 2d6. So that makes it easier to pass. As you can see in this example, the Termagants are leadership 8+, but when they're within Synapse range, within 6 inches of the winged Tyranid Prime, they roll 3d6, and adding all those up adds up to more than 8. So Tyranids are much more resistant to battle shock. And there are 2 Synapse units in the Tyranid Combat Patrol, the winged Tyranid Prime in the normal one, and then the Parasite of Mortrex, the additional unit, is also a Synapse creature. And the second one is called the Shadow in the Warp, and this allows the Tyranids player once per battle in either player's command phase to unleash the Shadow in the Warp, and when you do, every enemy unit on the battlefield must take a battle shock test immediately. And so in this example, using it in the Space Marine player's command phase, and then all the Space Marine units have to take a battle shock test, which causes one of them to fail, with all the usual effects. And once again, we have a game example serving as a sort of tutorial. So in this case, we're at the beginning of turn 2 with Tyranids getting ready to attack. And there's an overview of the Space Marines' turn, where the Tyranid player uses the Shadow in the Warp, which causes the Terminators to fail their battle shock test, and so they can't contest the objective they were hoping to take. And it gives a tip down here that Shadow in the Warp is more effective during your opponent's turn because enemy units lose their battle shock status at the start of their own turn. So if you use it in your turn, then you will disadvantage the enemy, but then at the start of their turn they'll become battle shocked again, whereas if you use it in your opponent's turn, they'll have to have their entire turn with battle shock units as well. And then there's the overview of the Tyranid's turn, where the Synapse comes into effect, which allows some battle shock tests to be passed. And finally on the back page there's a summary of those abilities which you can refer to for easy reference. But as there's no specific mission presented in this issue, we will play a combat patrol game with the Space Marines and the Tyranids once again, and we'll be able to use the Tyranid faction rules. So we'll get all that set up and get straight into it. So here is our board. We're back to the abandoned outpost for this game, and we've set up the armies already. We'll go over that in a second. We'll be playing Clash of Patrols once again, the one mission we've been given so far. You can go back and look at issue 22 if you want to see the rules for that. But you can see we've got some impassable terrain right in the centre, and then to the bottom left and top right of that, and some of the barricade terrain at the bottom and the top, and in the other two quadrants. And here is the Space Marine Combat Patrol and their deployment. I have brought the Librarian this time rather than the Chaplain, and the Librarian is attached to the Terminators for this game, so we'll try that out. And the Infernus Marines are on the left behind the impassable terrain, and the Captain is on the right flank. And then on the other side we have the Tyranid Combat Patrol.
So from left to right, as you see it, I've got a unit of Termagants next to the Tyranid Prime, who is next to the Psychophage. Bringing the Barb Gaunts rather than the Parasite and Mortrex, who are going to be in this little bit of cover near Objective 1. I think this one is just about in range to hold Objective 1. Another unit of Termagants, and then the Von Ryan Sleepers, which infiltrated ahead slightly just behind that bit of impassable terrain.
So that's the deployment. We can roll off to see who takes the first turn. Oh, I've rolled a 1.
I've rolled a 5.
So therefore it will be Tyranid's turn 1.
Kind of wanted to go second, but so I'm going to move up fairly cautiously. My only real movements are the Von Ryan Sleepers, who are just getting in, so one's in range of Objective 3. These Termagants have moved to be in range of the Captain, so we might be able to chip a few wounds off him. And over here, there's been some shuffling round. The Termagants are going out along the flank. I think they're just out of range of the Infernus Marines. Psychophage can't really get in range of anything good, and so the Tyranid Prime's just there to extend Synapse. So shooting, I've only got 2 units that are going to shoot. The Barb Gaunts will shoot the Terminators, and these Termagants will shoot the Captain.
Well, there's only 1 wound on the Captain, so 1 2+ save to make, which I made.
And then 5d6 shots at the Terminators, plus 1 each because there's a 6-man unit.
And then there was 8 wounds on the Terminators, who also have a 2+ save. And they didn't fail any.
But they will be slowed by the suppression from the Barb Gaunts.
But that will be the end of the Tyranid turn. No scoring in the first turn or anything, remember? So we'll be straight on to Space Marine's turn 1. I'm going to put the Oath of Moment on the Von Ryan's Leapers, because they're probably the only thing I'm going to be able to shoot at effectively this turn. But we can't actually move all that far anyway. The Captain's moving his full distance forward. The Terminators can only move 3 because they're disrupted by the bombardment, and the Infernus Marines are going to continue to hide behind the terrain, because if they move out too far then they'll just get charged by the Tyranid Prime, so they want to stay near the Terminators basically. But then we're going to shoot. The Terminators are going to shoot everything out the Von Ryan's Leapers. And I'll just use normal smite on the Librarian, but he will go first, so he gets d6 shots for 2. I think I might actually re-roll that, see if we can get a better result, because I've got 2 command points at this point, and I don't really need them all that much on my own turn. Oh, 5, that's better. These hit on 4s because of stealth.
Re-rolling. Re-rolling
because of Oath of Moment. So they all hit. Actually, he would have benefited from Fury of the First anyway, because he's in the Terminator unit, which is +1 to hit. But they all hit anyway, so then we'd be wounding on 4s, because this is the Strength 5 version. So we get 2 of those, and that is at AC -1.
5+ armour. Made 1. Yeah, you know what, I'll re-roll. They both.
And including the Librarian, there are 5 Stormbolters, which have 2 shots each at this range, hitting on 3s because Fury of the First counteracts stealth, re-rolling, and 6s are sustained hits 1 because of the Librarian. He would have given that to himself on Smite as well, but I didn't roll any 6s, so it didn't matter. A few re-rolls. Oh, getting all hits, and there's 4 6s in there, so it's actually 14 hits out of 10 shots. And we're winning on 5s. 5.
5 4+ armor saves. Mage 2, so that's 3 damage going through. We'll lose a lever.
And finally, we have the assault cannon. 6 shots on 3s again. 6s are sustained. We get a miss, which it turns into a sustained, so 7 hits. And we're on 3s with devastating wounds. So we got 2 devastating wounds and 2 normal wounds.
So 2 4+ saves again. Made 1, failed 1, so another leaper is killed.
Only other shooting I have is the captain. He's going to start shooting at the termagants because he should be within 12 inches of them. He is, so he gets 4 shots with his Stormbolt, hitting on 2s. And he managed to miss once. And wounding on 3s. 3 wounds.
5+ armour. Made 1, 2 dead.
And you know what, the captain might as well declare a charge on the termagants. He'll probably need a 12, but he could re-roll. So that will need a 12, but I can re-roll with his ability. No. So that will be it for Space Marines turn 1. On to Tyranids turn 2.
So firstly I need to make a Battleshock test for the Von Ryan's Leapers. They aren't in Synapse range, so I only get 2 dice, and their leadership 8. Oh, so that's a fail. So I don't get objective 3. So I only score 5 victory points, and I will gather intelligence on objective 1. Go up to 3 command points. So in my movement phase, this squad of termagants has advanced to get over on objective 3, so I can sticky it. Von Ryan's Leapers moved around back behind the terrain, so he can get over his battle shock hopefully. Bar won't stay where they are. The Psychophage has moved up into the middle, possibly to try and charge something and tie up the Terminators, while the Tyranid Prime has come across. They're going to try and charge the Infernus Marines, and these Terminators also advance so they can get in range of the Terminators and take objective 2 as well. In my shooting phase, everything that can shoot is going to shoot at the Terminators, because I can't really see the Infernus Marines, and if I can kill Terminators, that's the most threatening unit, I think.
Combined shooting of 2 units of termagants, got 4 wounds with 2 pluses. Oh, they got a wound through this time though.
Yeah, we'll do the Psychophage next. D6 shots. 6, I'll take that. On 3s. 5 wounds at -1 AP.
3+ saves. Failed 2. I'll reroll one of those fails because the Psychophage it hits better if they're below starting strength and I lost a model. So we save, so 1 Terminator is down to 1.
And the Barb Gaunts, 5d6 shots +5 as well from Blast.
That was 8 wounds once again. 2 pluses. Oh, we made them all again. So the Sergeant is alive on 1 wound.
So now we're on to the charge phase. I'm going to do the Tyranid Prime first, because I think he's more important. He's going to try and charge the Infernus Marines, because he can fly over that terrain. Needing about an 8. A 3 is definitely not enough, so I will re-roll that one. A 12 is enough.
So the Tyranid Prime gets over there.
And the Psychophage is going to charge the Terminators. It needs a 6. It only gets a 4, so it fails.
So there's only 1 combat to do where the Tyranid Prime gets to fight first.
6 attacks on 2s, getting 5 hits, wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds at -1.
4+ saves, failed 1. It's the only thing I have in fighting, so I'll re-roll that with my last command point. We succeed, so no dead Marines. And then the Infernus Marines can pile in so they can all fight. And they got 2 wounds.
So 4+ saves for the Tyranid Prime, failed both, so it's down to 4. Might as well re-roll 1 into a save, so he takes 1 damage.
But that will be the end of Tyranids turn 2, on to Space Marines turn 2. The moment for this turn is going on the Psychophage.
Yeah, I think I'm going to use Shadow in the Warp now. Potentially it will stop the Marines scoring any victory points, but I think more useful is if the Infernus Marines fail, if they fall back, they'll have to take desperate escape tests and they might die.
And I also can't use stratagems on anything that comes battle shocked as well, which might scupper killing the Psychophage. So everything has to take a battle shock test. The Infernus Marines, they're all leadership 6+, they succeed. The Terminators with the Librarian succeed, and the Captain succeeds. Well, the Infernus Marines will have to fall back because they're probably best off not staying in melee, and the Terminators moving their mighty 3 inches forward because they're still disrupted, and the Captain moving up his full distance. It does mean if we make our charges we won't hold objective 4, but we're just going to kill things is where we are at the moment. But I will gather intelligence on objective 4 though, so I get an extra command point. And then in the shooting phase, I'm going to shoot everything at the Psychophage, so we'll start with the Terminators. We'll use focused smite. Smite. Oh, 6 shots. Hitting on 2s because of Fury the First. They all hit with a sustained hit, so that'll be 7 hits. Wounding on 5s. 3 at AP -2.
5+ saves. I made 1. I think I'll re-roll 1, because this is the big damage. No.
2d3 going through. 5.
5+ feel no pain. We shrug 1, so it takes 4. It's down to 6.
Assault cannon, 2s re-rolling. They all hit but no sustained. And 5 to wound, 6s are devastating. 1 devastating and 2 normal wounds.
3+ save against the normal wounds. Failed both.
So 3 damage in total.
5+ feel no pain. Shrug 2. It's down to 5.
And 20 shots from Stormbolters on 2s, re-rolling everything. Re-rolls. Oh, we get a miss, but there are some sustained in there. 22 hits, wounding on 5s. Oh, 6s.
3+ armor saves, still failed 1. And didn't ignore it, it's down to 4.
And the Librarian also needs to make a hazardous test. So on a 1, he takes 3 wounds. He's fine. But the Captain's going to shoot his Stormbolter at the Termagants on objective 2, because wounding on 6s on the Psychophage isn't worth it. 2s and 3s. 4 wounds, no AP.
One of the Termagants has actually got his toe on the terrain, so we'll give him cover. So he's got 4+, so he's dead. And then 5s for the others, they're dead as well.
And then the charge phase, well, we'll do the Captain first, I think. He just needs a 2, well, he got a 3, which is enough. And then I'll do the Terminators. They need a 6 because they are disrupted. They fail with a 4, that would have been enough, so we'll re-roll. Into a 6, which is the bare minimum. I'll do the Terminators first, because they can pile in and get 3 of themselves on objective 2, and there's only 1 Termagant on it, so I will seize that at the end of the phase, and then they can fight. So the Librarian, he will be hitting on 2s because of Fury of the First, but re-rolling, yes. 5s to wound, 1.
4+ save, made it.
Sergeant with the Power Sword on 2s re-rolling, they all hit as well. 5s, 2 from him, these are -2.
5s. I'll take these.
1 damage each.
Shock 1's down to 3.
And 1 Power Fist hitting on 2s. And 5s to wound. Nothing. So that was the Terminators. We've also got the Captain who has 6 attacks hitting on 2s re-rolling. They will hit wounding on 5s. 1.
5+ armor, made it.
And then the Terminators are also consolidated to get 4 of them onto objective 2. But then the Psychophage gets to fight back.
So it's going to attack the Terminators. 6+1 attacks. I'll take 7 attacks. It's hitting on 3s because the Terminators are still at full strength. Still got this full number of models. That's 5 hits. So these are wounding on 3s, but any 4s will be devastating because the Librarian is in the unit and he is a Psycho.
So the whole unit has the Psycho keyword.
Well, I'm going to re-roll one of those. So that's going to be 4 devastating wounds.
So the Sergeant will die and another Terminator will take 2 damage. But that will be the end of Space Marines turn 2. We'll be on to Tyranids turn 3.
So first thing is battle shock tests. I'll do the Psychophage first because he's more important. Again, he's not in Synapse range. So he fails. The Ryan's Leaper fails as well. I hold 2 objectives, so I get 10 victory points. I go up to 15. I'm going to gather intelligence on objective 3 and go up to 2 command points. So movement, Bob will stay where they are. Von Ryan's Leaper is going to come in and try and get involved. Psychophage is going to stay where it is because he might die if it tries to escape. Termagants have moved, so that there's now 5 of them on objective 2, so I'll take control of that. The other unit of Termagants advanced, and I had to re-roll it to get them on objective 4, so I'll take that. And the Tyranid Prime is going to move up behind the Infernus Marines and sort of loom behind them. And then my only units that can shoot will be the Barb Gaunts and the Termagants, who are both going to shoot at the Infernus Marines because they're the only target. Roll for the Barb Gaunts first, because there's still 5 Infernus Marines, so 5d6 plus 5, 22.
They got 7 wounds, so 7 3+ saves. Fail 2, we lose a Marine. And 4 more wounds from the Termagants, who do another wound.
Charge phase, I'll do the Von Ryan's Leaper. He's going to charge the Terminators because he can't really get to the Captain. He gets a 10, which is probably enough to get him in. So that gets him to there. And the other charge is the Tyranid Prime, who only rolls a 3, but that's going to be enough. I'll do the Tyranid Prime first. 6 attacks on 2s, getting 4 hits, and wounding on 3s. Getting 2.
4+ saves, made them.
And the Von Ryan's Leaper, 6 attacks on 3s, getting 4, strength 5, so wounding on 4s. 4 wounds and -1.
4 3+ saves for Terminators. Oh, and we failed 3 of them. And then I'll pick the Terminators to fight, so I'll have the Librarian and 2 on the Psychophage, and 1 can fight the Von Ryan's Leaper. Still has Oath of the Moment, so the Librarian will be hitting on 2s re-rolling. And with that is a sustained this time, so he gets 5 hits. Wounding on 5s. 2.
So 4s, failed both. I am going to re-roll one of those because I'd like it to live. So I saved 1.
D3 damage. 1.
1 plus feel no pain. No, it's down to 2.
2 Power Fists also on it. Get 6 hits with no sustained. Also 5s to wound. 2.
-2, so 5s. Fail both. Feel no pains. Shrug 3. It's down to 1.
Oh, it's still alive. And 1 Power Fist on the Von Ryan's Leaper. It is not the Oath of the Moment target, so we only get 1 hit and can't re-roll. And it did wound.
6+ save. We made it. So the Psychophage is going to attack the Terminators again. 5 times. Hitting on 2s now because they're below starting strength. So that's 4 hits. Wounding on 3s, but 4s will be devastating. Another 4 devastating wounds, so we'll kill another Terminator.
Yeah, the wounded one will die, and then another one will take 2 wounds. I'll do the Captain fighting the Psychophage. So I can kill it. I'm going to re-roll. Oh, still missed. 5s to wound. 1. Might as well re-roll one of those now though, because no other units are in danger. Oh, it gets a second wound.
5s. Saved 1. 2 damage. It dies. Does it explode?
Deadly demise? No, it doesn't. But the Captain will consolidate a bit closer to that Leaper. And then finally I have these Infernus Marines. But they only got 1 wound, which was saved. So that will be the end of Tyranids turn 3, and we'll be on to Space Marines turn 3. So I don't get any victory points, or I don't have to make any battle shock tests, and I'm going to put the Oath of Moment on the Barb Gaunts. So the Captain will go towards the Barb Gaunts on Objective 1, the Infernus Marines will fall back from the Tyranid Prime, and the Terminators will stay in melee with that Leaper. The only shooting is the Captain, who will shoot at the Termagants on Objective 2. He gets 4 hits. Put them all in the box. Oh, only 1 wound this time.
5+ armour. Made it.
And the Captain's the only charge into the Barb Gaunts. Makes it with a 10. So the Captain will go there, so he's standing on Objective 1 and the Barb Gaunts can't get past him. But then the Von Ryan's Leaper gets to go first because it has fights first and it is the Space Marine turn.
So 6 attacks on 3s, getting 4, and wounding on 4s. Getting 3 at -1.
3s, failed 1, I will re-roll 1 to try and keep Terminator alive. Yes. Then I have the Captain who has 6 attacks on 2s re-rolling. They all hit. Wounding on 3s. Oh, only 3.
6s. Save 1. Kill 2.
He does kill 2. Oh, the Barb Gaunts did a wound to him. But he saved. And the Terminators can fight this Leaper. We'll do the Power Fists. They only get 3 hits because there's no Oath of Moment, but they are 2 sustained as a Librarian. And 5 wounds at -2.
Well, he's dead.
But that is it for Space Marines turn 3. On to Tyranids turn 4.
So no battle shock tests. I hold all 4 objectives, so I'll get 15 and go up to 30 victory points. And I'm going to gather intelligence on objective 2. And then movement, these Termagants are moving just so they all get on the objective. Tyranid Prime's moving to get near the Infernus Marines. And the Barb Gaunts are falling back in a way such that 2 of them end up on the objective. One of them has to go over the barricade, 1 goes around and 1 moves to there. Shooting, these Termagants will shoot the Terminators, the other Termagants will shoot the Infernus Marines.
I got 4 wounds on the Terminators. Failed 1 of the saves, so I think I'll re-roll it to stop losing Terminator, hopefully. Yes. And there were 3 wounds on the Infernus Marines. Oh, and we failed all 3 of them, so we actually lose 2 Marines.
My only charge is going to be the Tyranid Prime into those Infernus Marines. Yeah, 3 is still enough. Well, he's going to have a third go at killing a Marine. 6 attacks on 2s. That's 5 hits. And 3s. 2 wounds at most. I'm going to re-roll 1, just try and save them the embarrassment. No, still 2.
4s. Oh, we did actually kill them both. But it's not going to matter because I don't hold any objectives in my turn 4, so I won't get any victory points. And then the Tyranids are already 25 ahead, and I'll get a maximum of 10 in my turn 5, so I can't possibly win this game. So it will definitely be a Tyranid victory, and we will recap it for you now. So that was the game for issue 25 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How did you think that went?
Well, I suppose I can't really say it could go much better. If Shadow of the Warp had done anything, you wouldn't have scored any victory points, and then it would have been a total washout. But I think this is basically what I've been trying to do for the last 2 games we've played. Basically tie you up and stop you getting any objectives.
Yeah, and I think both the previous 2 games I went first, so that meant I was able to at least have a bit of initiative. Whereas in this one, yeah, you just sort of swarmed forwards and were all over the objectives before I could get them.
Yeah, I didn't really have a perfect first turn. You killed 2 of the Von Ryan's Leapers and stopped me gaining 10 victory points. But you charging the Psychophage when it was in the middle of the board and not really near the objectives, and you only had 3 units, so you held up 2 of them. The Tyranid Prime eventually killed the Infernus Marines. I would have helped if he did that earlier, and once you were down to 2 units, you can only hold 2 objectives at a time, so...
I mean, the Infernus Marines once again didn't get to shoot, which usually means that the game isn't going well for me if that happens. I think if the game had gone on, I could have probably actually killed you all, because I still had 3 Terminators left, and the Captain would have finished dealing with the Barb Gaunts, and then there was just termagants to deal with. But that doesn't really matter in games of Combat Patrol if you don't score the points. But I did, I think, 6 damage to the Psychophage in shooting, and then charged 2 units into it and did 1 more damage, and then failed to finish it off with the Terminator, so it was still on a wound, and did more damage to Terminators before it went down as well, so that was a bit disappointing. Perhaps I should have just sent the Captain in to tie it up, because he isn't a Psyker, so it isn't as good against him. We did say before that the anti-Psyker means that putting the Librarian with the Terminators is a big risk, and well, you can see why. If you'd actually rolled better for your wounds with it, it could have wiped out the Terminators entirely. I put the Librarian with them just to see what would happen, and certainly the sustained hits were pretty good.
Yeah, and Synapse never came up. It is a very useful ability for keeping especially Termagants around. Not so much bothered about the Bron Rise Leapers or maybe the Barb Gaunts, but the Termagants are more useful because they have a better OC and they have battle line, and it's probably quite helpful for the Tyranid Prime himself as well, because his leadership's not great. Makes him more annoying to get rid of.
The only thing with Synapse is because you've only got one Synapse creature in the default Combat Patrol and it's actually a fast melee one, he's not always going to be in the right position to use it. If you send him off by himself like you did, he's not actually necessarily going to be near things, but on the other hand, if he stays at the back, he's kind of wasting his potential, so...
Adding in the Parasite of Mortrix does give you more Synapse options.
But again, that's still a fast-flying melee monster, so it's not necessarily going to want to stay at the back.
And Shadow of the Warp can be very good if it stops the enemy scoring victory points, but Space Marines have really good leadership, so it's not really that helpful against them.
True, but because they're often spread out across the board, it can be the case that one failed Battleshock test would actually mean they don't hold an objective, because they can't really afford to hold objectives with more than one unit at a time. So while they're less likely to fail, it can actually scupper them if it goes well, but certainly it's better against armies with lower leadership, some of which we'll be getting in the collection, so we might get to see it more effectively.
And also getting some shades. So shading is a very simple technique to use, but it's really the main one that adds a lot of detail to models, because once you shade all the recesses, you start bringing out a lot of the depth of the models, and it's a very, very easy technique to use as well.
But yeah, anyway, I think that'll be it actually for this video and this episode. So another game of Combat Patrol. There'll be more of these to come for issues we don't get a new model with. But let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.